We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. Now, we have not been, I don't know what's up with my camera, guys. We have not been on the show since Wednesday. Looking to have a fantastic show since we have not been live back on AYS since Wednesday. A lot of things going on. Walker Howard officially announces he's in the portal. A lot of people freaking out that he's going to Ole Miss. Yeah, who gives a Rudy Poo? Where he's going, you got to focus on what you can control. LSU gets 13 new guys into the program, some transfers, some midterm enrollees that have hit campus today as LSU looks to enter spring ball. Really, within a month and a half, things will really start kicking off for them. We'll touch on that. LSU basketball got absolutely blasted by Alabama. Why I will tell you it is extremely, I don't care what year you're in or whatever it may be, unacceptable to lose by 40 points. It's never acceptable. Never will be acceptable, at least not here on AYS. We talk about that here tonight. Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us at 7:30 in his normal spot, as he always does. We'll talk just all things LSU with him, like we normally do, and we'll talk some SEC way too early. And if we get to it, we'll touch on Joe Burrow, who's absolutely killing it, as he always does. Joey B going bananas. We've had a good wild card round in the NFL playoffs, so we'll touch on that today. LSU gymnastics falls to number 1 Oklahoma, but has their highest scoring total of the year. So really good performers from them and the Lady Tigers. Simone Augustus, we've missed so much. Simone Augustus statue is unveiled. The Lady Tigers continue to roll as they are still undefeated, going to continue to climb in that top 5 ranking. Kim Mulkey absolutely doing work. So we'll touch on them as well. Like I said, we got a big show tonight. This is what happens when you are off a couple of days. But shout out to the Tajans, Evan and Emily, for getting married. Thank you for making me, my wife, and everybody a part of your journey and everything it is that you are doing. All right. I don't know what's up with this thing, guys. There we go. Hopefully that helps it. Chat, I don't know. Guys, do y'all notice a fluttering? Is that just me? Chad Selfo says, who's going to Ole Miss? We'll see. Rigorous or Rogerous? I don't know how to say it. Mr. Scott says, I enjoy the podcast. Keep at it. Thank you so much. Kenny Fudge says, no Walker, no problem. Colin Hurley isn't coming. I agree. Jason Brumfield says, so why compete with Dart but not Garrett Nussmeier? I guess he feels like he can beat out Jackson Dart and not beat out Garrett Nussmeier. I don't know. Or Jane Daniels, for that matter. So, I don't know what to tell you. What I would say is, and I got blasted on this take, I don't think he goes to Ole Miss or thinks he goes to Ole Miss in starting necessarily, as he just wants to progress and he wants to be the number 2 somewhere. He would not be the number 2 as it currently sat at LSU, as LSU just told him to compete. Again, had nothing to do with Jane Daniels, because if he goes to Ole Miss, then he's going to sit behind Jackson Dart to start off with. So what does it really matter at this point? Now, could he overtake Jackson Dart? Probably, but that doesn't mean that he's not going there to compete. So, again, regardless of how you slice it, you dice it, and you put it all together, Walker Howard's going to – if he goes somewhere like an Ole Miss, he goes somewhere maybe other than maybe TCU – would be the only place that he wouldn't necessarily have to compete. Now, does Jack Besh get involved? And look, it doesn't really matter, because LSU and the team that we talk about has 2 really, really good quarterbacks. And Ricky Collins is now on campus too. So if Walker Howard had stayed, you would have had 4 total scholarship quarterbacks. You're not going to keep that in today's day and age. And a lot of people making excuses for Walker Howard. A lot of people on the LSU beat making excuses for Walker Howard. But I guarantee you wouldn't do it. And that's a part of the Rufino's Rants night. I can't believe, I cannot believe the excuse making for Jack Bech and Walker Howard. If this were any other kid, you would blast them. You know that. You know that. Blake, they grew up LSU fans. The bullshit they did. I mean, they want to play. That's fine. But don't make it more than what it is. Don't lie and say, oh, they're an LSU kid through and through. Bullshit they are. You don't celebrate Garrett Nussmeier and you worry about Howard. At some point, you're going to have to start celebrating what Garrett Nussmeier is doing. Guys, Garrett Nussmeier does not return and given the starting job over Jane Daniels. Brian Kelly made that extremely clear. He made it extremely clear to me. He made it extremely clear to you. He made it extremely clear to them. Anyway. Yeah, y'all saw that. It just fluttered again. I don't know what's going on. Ha! I don't know what's going on here. Always something. Blaine Smith said, did you go to the Simone Augustus statue ceremony? I did not. We were out of town. We were out of town for that wedding. So, no, I did not. I was not able to go over there and do that. Jamie says they have different standards for legacy kids, I guess. Maybe, but still doesn't change the fact of what's going on. Mikey says, are we going to see all 3 QBs next year, Blake? No. Not a chance. Not a chance. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Maybe it won't just be Nuss, or maybe it wasn't just Nuss. Maybe he was worried about Ricky Collins or Colin Hurley, Pooh Bear. I think at the end of the day, Pooh, I think at the end of the day, it came down to Nuss, just being honest. Now, does he look forward? Does he look ahead? Maybe. And that's probably could be true. But they made it pretty well known where they lie and where everything's going on. So I don't know. My camera's auto-focusing a lot. Yeah, it is. How do I turn that off? I don't know how to turn that off. Okay. Maybe it's I have no idea. Maybe I just got to stay still like this. Don't move. Have you ever told an Italian to sit still for an hour? Doesn't necessarily work that well. Tony says, welcome home back, or welcome back, homie. Thank you. Been a long time. Rebounding. Yeah, listen. So we got to talk about something here. I understand that Mac McMahon is in year 1. Like I get that. I'm aware. Okay. Like I'm fully aware of that. Okay. But yeah, I did it again. I don't know what's going on. Maybe if I turn it off and turn it back on, maybe it'll help it. I don't know. But we'll see. All right, let's do this. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Sorry about the camera. You're just going to have to deal with it for a second. But everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media pages. If you're listening to us on Facebook, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to those social media pages. Share to your own social media pages as well. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell. We greatly appreciate you doing that for us. So close to 5,000. Y'all need to help us get there. I think we're like 250 away, 200 away, whatever it is. Get us to 5K. Also, if you're listening to us on SiriusXM, TuneIn app, or wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing so. But let's do this. Let's take a very quick break. Let's talk about our good friends over at BetOnline.ag and our good friends over at GM Barno & Sons, GMBarnoandsons.com. We return in 1 minute. Excuse me. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varnado & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varnado & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Rob Boudreaux says you can't take off any more shows off. You're rusty. Probably. The problem with that, though, Rob, is I don't touch this stuff and like magical shit happens, right? Like I don't touch shit and it just magically fucking does this. And then, today has not been the day that I needed this kind of stupid shit at all. Sam Block claiming Burrow for OSU is hysterical. Yeah, I'm not getting. He said when the man says LSU in the beginning of every time he's on NBC. Every time. Kevin Forche says this has nothing to do with JD5. It did not. It didn't. And really and truthfully, even if it did, they could have told him to leave, right? Like they could have easily told him to leave. Rick says thoughts and prayers. Yo, I should have let off with this, and I will do this, or I will do that. He said thoughts and prayers going out to the UGA family for their loss. Yeah, man, that's really tough. And look, I don't want to put Martin Luther King Day and thank Martin Luther King. I know we did on the Ruffino and Joe show for everything that he did with a tragedy, but in one way, we celebrate the great Martin Luther King and everything that he did for minorities and people of color. And we celebrate the figure he has been in our country. And then to see two young people get in a car accident, like, man, today I got into a fender bender, and, unfortunately they lost their lives, man. I mean, it's just like, why does this? Sometimes you beg the question why things have to happen. I've never, thankfully, have never lost a teammate, at least not to my knowledge. Now, we've had teammates that have had serious injury or serious health concerns, but I've never lost a teammate, right? Like, I've never gone through that. And I don't, these kids' parents will never see them again. And it's just tragic, man. It's just tragic. And then you have the incident in Alabama this past weekend. Dude. Anyway, Conrad says, I dislike the Cowgirls and the Buccaneers. What's going on there? I think they're about to tee it off. So, look, we'll be able to get a good show in. Maybe we'll be done by the end of the first quarter. Has to make a decision today at Blaine doesn't mean he will announce today. I saw that from Blaine. So, yeah, in case you missed it, so let's get into it. Let's get this thing started, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. I think it helped it turn it off and on, right? I hadn't really been doing it that much. So listen, yes, today was the deadline for players that are underclassmen being eligible to go into the NFL draft. Now, I know my co-host made a pretty big deal out of this today, and it was fine or whatever, but about C.J. Stroud. But John Emery, at least officially, is not announced. I had not heard that John Emery was going to be announcing or going to be putting his name in the portal or anything like that, or go to the draft. So, look, I really believe John Emery is going to be returning this upcoming season. Nothing has been out there, out and about. Nothing's been circulating, at least not to my knowledge. That's massive. Again, it's another piece offensively that you get returning. It's another piece offensively that you get returning. Now, John John just made a lot of big plays. Like he also, but I guess in a way you could say he had a lot of plays that did not go his way. He still has issues fumbling the football, which is a big deal, and he's got to clean that up. But a good John Emery, a right John Emery is a big deal. And it's a part of the thing that we were going to talk about here tonight. It's a Louisiana thing. It's an LSU thing. Like we constantly sit here and we take something like a Walker Howard or a Jack Bash, and sometimes we blow it up a little too much. Like I've been off of social media since Thursday. LSU gets another the edge rusher, defensive end from Texas. I mean, that's been a couple days now, so a lot of people are reporting on that. I won't bore you by letting you hear something that you've already heard probably 4 or 5 times already since we haven't been back, or since we were out last week. But even coming back, like you're adding key pieces. You got Jordan Jefferson, the big nose tackle that is on campus here today. You got Ricky Collins. You got Trey Holly. A lot of kids that are in there. Denver Harris is now in the mix. So Louisiana and LSU always has this stigma about, from whether it be media, whether it be fans, oh, no, the sky's falling. So what? Walker Howard isn't here. He wasn't going to play next year anyway. You love him. He's a good kid. He's a very talented kid. He's probably going to go somewhere and do some good things. Good for him. Okay? But the problem with all of this is, and you start looking around college football, there are only a handful and select teams that aren't having to replace a good bit of what they have. Alabama loses Pete Golding this weekend. I've already said my piece on that. It was not because Nick didn't want him there. From what I understand from people around Hammond, and I kind of reported this, and people got mad about it. But Pete had told Nick at probably around mid to late November that Ole Miss is going to be looking for a defensive coordinator, and he was more than likely going to take it. He takes a pay decrease, but he gets around family. He went to Delta State. It's a big deal for him to go back. They have to replace someone with defensive or as the Alabama defensive coordinator. Is it Jeremy Pruitt? They're talking about the guy from Southern Miss, whatever it may be. I don't officially know that. I don't cover Alabama like that, but it's a good addition for Ole Miss. They have to replace key pieces defensively. They got to replace the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, which they've done once, or not a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, but they've had to replace really good quarterbacks before. They've been okay. But LSU turns the most production. And it seems as if that there's still a little bit of a negative vibe around what LSU's doing football-wise. Guys, you're fine. You are absolutely fine at where you sit. Maybe do you need to look at linebacker? Over the weekend when we were out, I started making some phone calls and started doing some things. And it's pretty safe to say, from what I've been told, that LSU is going to always be searching. I had one person tell me Sunday? I had one person tell me on the way home Saturday, basically, he's like, Blake, we're always looking. It doesn't matter what the position is. LSU had offered a JUCO wide receiver. Like, we're always looking for positions. LSU looks to maybe add one more defensive lineman from the freshman class up here in the last signing day. So with all of that being said, they're always looking. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. But we haven't been here, Pooh and Zach, since Wednesday, and I don't know if y'all have been dealing with this. I'm assuming you have. It's kind of been a little bit of a shit show to some degree. We'll see. Now, you do have a guy like Deuce Chestnut, who Zach had on. The interview was pretty funny. I mean, he's kind of saying some things about, something about having to wear number 0, stuff like that. I mean, dude's a good ball player, dude. Dude's a really good ball player. You're going to be fine. So where this sits at, what's going on here? The only thing that I'm really worried about, like I don't worry about Brian Kelly. Never really have worried about Brian Kelly. You know what I worry about? Here's the things that I worry about when I get home back on Saturday from being off on vacation or at a wedding. You got beat by 40 against Alabama. I don't give two Rudy Poos who you got, what happened, what you're trying to rebuild. That's kind of unacceptable. You got out rebounded. You got outshot. You got out really and truthfully, at the end of the day, Nate Oates' team had more pride and effort than you did on some of those long three rebounds. When they would hit a brick, and then what's the kid's name from Alabama? Tall kid, kept 24, kept shooting all the threes. I mean, that kid was on money, but I mean, they still had issues from behind the three. Brandon Miller, thank you. That kid completely went off, but there were a lot of times you could have gotten rebounds. Alabama rebounds the ball, they kick it back out, and then all of a sudden they're draining threes. Those are the things that I worry about. Brian Kelly is not something that I do. Now, Zach says, I told him, meaning Deuce Chestnut, I'm assuming, to do an Oklahoma drill with Mason for the number. Deuce said he didn't want that smoke. Yeah. I don't blame him. And Spectrum Welfare talks about LSU basketball lack of effort. You're damn right it was a lack of effort. You're damn right it was a lack of effort. I mean, it was a lack of effort, pride, and just absolute want to. I mean, and here's what the crazy part is. You mean to tell me that Alabama kids didn't know, or, well, no, I guess that happened Sunday morning. But, I mean, it's not as if that they hadn't been going through things. They had lost a forward for the season due to injury. I mean, they had been going through some things in injury with their injury report. So I think they had, two of the forwards were out, or one of the guard and one of the forwards were out. One was out for the season. Really and truthfully, guys, Nate Oates is beating your ass in recruiting and all over the basketball court. And I don't really like it that much. I don't like losing to Bama. And I tweeted out, I thought LSU could come out and pull one out. They could upset the world. And not only did they not do that, not only was I dead ass wrong, I just didn't think that LSU team would show that lack of effort. Never crossed my mind that they would show that lack of effort. Now, times, it's just so frustrating to watch. But in reference to I'm more worried about that than I am Walker Howard transferring, if that makes anybody feel any better. That's where I sit. I'm just not in the mindset, guys. I am not in the current mindset right now when it comes to LSU athletics. Like, there have been coaches that have been at LSU. There have been coaches, and even there are coaches around the SEC that you just don't have to worry about. Like, Alabama fans don't have to worry about Nick Saban and what he's doing in recruiting, or or X's and O's wise, or the coordinator he'll hire. People don't really worry about necessarily Kirby and what Kirby's doing. I don't worry about. I put Brian Kelly right there. I don't worry about what he's doing, because if he doesn't succeed, he's got a backup plan. An adult actually, for once, sits in that chair. And I know that LSU might look like they have some issues at linebacker. I understand it. But what I've been told and understand, they're going to get that fixed. And they're not done looking. Now, do you move Harold Perkins to the inside? We've had this discussion ad nauseum. We'll have to wait and see. But you have a long time to be able to fix a position of need. I will tell you, if there's somebody out there, hint, hint, wink, wink, that's good enough to play a linebacker at LSU, I think they will hit the portal, because there are lucrative things that are going on around LSU that the media aren't reporting about, especially around NIL. And they know it. They know what's going on. They know what's going on. Let's see. I saw a couple of these. Rick Coloetti says, hashtag ask Blake, which early enrollee has the biggest impact this coming year? I mean, I guess it depends on what DB you want to talk about. I mean, is it Denver Harris? Is it Alexander? Is it Deuce Chestnut? Is it J.K. Johnson? I mean, most of all those guys are going to have to play at a high level. Now, impact-wise, I think you could probably tip that over to like a Paris Shand or a Jordan Jefferson or somebody to that, maybe an Aaron Anderson, somewhere where you need the rotational pieces. I will tell you, I think even though the stat line might not come up, and the stat line for some of these LSU transfers might not be the highest, might not be SEC, a first-team SEC caliber or anything like that. But the simple nature that you're going to be able to rotate 7 dudes in and out that defensive line is going to be massive. It's going to be massive. So regardless of what their statistics are, I think that maybe you have just a lot of more depth pieces that will ultimately affect your entire team. Brandon Ray says, looking forward to baseball season. Yeah, what do we have, like 33 days away? 33 days away. Another guy I don't really worry about is Jay Johnson, to be honest with you. I don't have to worry about Jay or Kim or, I do worry a little bit about Matt McMahon. Rob Boudreaux says Adam Miller is not that good. Yeah, he's really struggling, man. He's really struggling from behind the arc. He's really struggling, period. I saw, what was his plus minus? His plus minus, he's like minus 27 when he's on the court. That's not good. Like for the entire season, like accounting the entire season, he's like minus 27. That's not good at all. I don't know if I'd go as that maybe that he's not that good, but he's just had a very bad run of things. And look, a lot of people try to fool and thought that Adam Miller would be something better than he wasn't when he was playing in let's call it, the Big Ten is a very tough conference basketball-wise, and he didn't always do so well at Illinois. I mean, we're acting like the Big Ten just absolutely sucks in basketball. They don't suck in basketball. All right. One more, and then we'll get to Carter. Oh, look at him. He's already in here. Oh, Mr. Blake, I got a wedding in a couple of weeks. Ooh. In here in the chat. Yeah, calling out some people. All right. Well, let's get to him. Let's talk about before we get to our good buddy Carter, though. Let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. Guys, use your promo code AYS25 at checkout. That way that they know that we sent you on by. But let me talk first, before we do that, about our good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. GMFS, changing lives. If you're buying a new home, saving money, the mortgage you have now, or even doing a cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with John Patton from GMFS Mortgage today at 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. Let them know Blake sent you on by. All right, talk about Gramco. Back in 45 seconds with Carter Bryant. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast, as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. Carter, the Power Bryant. What's up, dude?
Happy offseason, Blake Ruffino. Oh boy, this is going to be a juicy off season. Oh my goodness.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because the quarterback discourse has been very civil. Everybody gets along. That's the best thing about it. I'm obviously being sarcastic, but yeah, this is going to be crazy. Like, I'm really excited for Florida State. I wish the game was tomorrow because it's going to be so weird. We're going to have this debate over and over again about the quarterbacks, but I feel like Blake going into next year, there's going to be so much more pressure on Florida State than LSU going into that season opener because Florida State has been waiting to have the roster that they're going to have next year. So I'm so excited. And that's why this offseason is going to be so long because we're waiting for this game. I just can't wait. But so glad to be back with you, man. How's life?
Well, had a little bit of a fender bender today, but
I saw that.
Yeah. God will be hopefully God will prevail. Carter, you said that the quarterback position, everybody's being pretty civil. What do you mean by that? Is there something that I'm missing here? Like, why do you think that it's being pretty civil?
It's not. It's been the opposite. It's been chaos.
So you were pulling my chain.
Yeah, it's not good. As far as
expound on that. What hasn't been good about it in your opinion?
Well, it's just, the back and forth between Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, and it's just going to be like that all throughout. And the hard part about it, Blake, is that these are diametrically different quarterbacks. And I think that's going to be, where we're going to be over the next few months. And honestly, Blake, if we were just to break this down, you can go to Power Hour LSU. You could see the full film study. I broke down every play from both Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels. The next thing for Jaden to do is just become a better vertical passer. Now, there's more to it than just throwing the football down deep. It's more than just that. But if he does, you could see this huge fifth-year jump that we normally see from very experienced quarterbacks.
It is going to be a long off season, Carter, just based off of that. Let me ask you this very dumb question. And I don't think it's dumb, but I think it needs to be. Let's go ahead and start it now.
Let's do it.
2 quarterback system. Can it work?
Yeah, it can. But it would need to be in a way that you're not just going fly by your seat of your pants or whatever the phrase is. There needs to be structure to it, right? It shouldn't be one of these things where a 2 quarterback system is, hey, this guy goes out there and doesn't play well, pull him, play the other guy and play him until he doesn't play well. You shouldn't go in with that mindset. But if you do a 2 quarterback system where you're highlighting both of their strengths and weaknesses, it might work out. Now, something I would do, Blake, is this is something that Michigan did this past year. They actually started 1 quarterback for one game, and they started 1 quarterback for the next. Now, this thing gets into Walker Howard. I know he just left, but there's so many of people out there that are so mad that Walker Howard left LSU. And like we discussed last week, Blake, we had, the Lord works in mysterious ways. They moved our segment to Wednesday, and the Walker Howard, news broke on Wednesday. What was really interesting to me, Blake, is so many people were certain that Walker Howard was going to be a star quarterback, and I think he will. Obviously, you were really high on him. I'm really high on him as well. But the issue is you don't know. You never really know until that quarterback has boots on the ground. And the same thing is true with this Garrett Nussmeier situation, right? We've never actually seen him start. And Blake, you played the game. It's different when you actually are the starter. The team is rallying around you. They see you take the first team reps. They know you are the general leading them out on the field. So if the quarterback battle is close, and let's just say Jaden Daniels, who's going to start versus Florida State, unless obviously Garrett Nussmeier just completely tears it up all throughout the offseason. Even then, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the guy. What LSU should do, let's just say Jaden struggles in that first game versus Florida State, give Garrett Nussmeier a start and see where you are. But at this point, as far as like a 2 quarterback system is concerned, I think there would need to be structure, and it would need to make sense instead of just playing them for playing them sakes.
Look, Brian Kelly's had success with before. We've seen two really good
Right.
quarterbacks in Chris Leak and Tim Tebow do it, and it was a really good dynamic. Both guys were two completely different quarterbacks. It's really the last time we saw it with that much efficiency. There's one thing, Carter, that you said that I think really has resonated with me. Now, me and you have talked about this off air. I'll bring it up here. Teams will scheme differently if they know Garrett Nussmeier starting.
Absolutely.
Garrett has been a little bit of a product of his own environment in the sense of teams were really scheming on some RPO, quick slant,
Right.
outs, hitches, mesh routes, digs, crossers with deep posts with Jane Daniels. But what they didn't account for is game planning for Garrett Nussmeier. Now,
Right.
Purdue did. And you talked to Purdue, and they said that they game plan, but obviously their personnel wasn't up to par where they will be. My only thing with that is I do want to see what happens if a team knows that Garrett's going to start. But when you flip that on its head, though, Carter, and you throw for 300, like so many people this weekend I was talking to at this wedding, all of them want to know, why did Walker Howard leave? Why did Walker Howard leave? And why don't you just cut Garrett Nussmeier? And I'm like, well, think about it. And I want to know I think you believe the same. How do you look at your fan base in the eye and say, I just cut a guy that threw for 300 yards and a half over Georgia? You just can't do that. The fan base would somewhat be like, if Walker doesn't pan out, then you just, because Garrett Nussmeier is going to go somewhere and throw the ball 500 times and not. He's like a quarterback honey badger. He just don't give a shit.
Well, here's what I want everyone to do. All right. And I understand like Garrett Nussmeier does turn the football over a lot. You've pointed it out plenty of times. I think everybody knows that is, the biggest thing holding him back. But go watch the quote unquote hole shot. That's what they call this type of throw versus Georgia, a cover 2 beater that he fit in before the safety got there. That is one of the most impressive throws I've seen an LSU quarterback just make, period. Like that's up there with, he's not as good as Jay Russ or Burrow, but that's a really high level NFL throw. Those are like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes kind of throws that he made. And that just shows you his potential. I think Walker Howard's going to be really good no matter where he goes, but like he could play 4 years and never have a throw better than that one. It really was that good of a throw.
I can make the argument, Carter, then the next time they ran cover 2, it got picked.
Yeah, it's true. And that's the problem, right? You get, and then the fade route versus Purdue, that was a really bad pick and a very inaccurately thrown football. So, for me, Blake, I look at Nuss, I look at what he's done vertically for this offense. Obviously, there was a lot of juice when he played versus Georgia that he provided to, this offense. And, we'll see what he could do as he progresses. But I was very shocked to see how he played versus Southern and saw him not regress into an abyss and change who he was as a quarterback. The types of mistakes he made versus Southern was him trying to make things happen, trying to do a Johnny Manziel. And I got so sick and tired of people comparing Nuss to Johnny Manziel. They are not the same. And Nuss, both of the picks versus Southern was him trying to make something happen instead of just, playing within the structure of the offense. And as he moved along, when he started playing within the structure of the offense, he started to play better. And then around that, you would see some of those playmaking throws like the Jeray Jenkins touchdown at the end of the game versus Georgia.
We do have a couple questions in here for you. Jared Addison and Rick Cloetti, or I say his name. Do you know how to say Rick's last name?
I don't. I talk to Rick all the time. I've never asked him.
And he tells me every time how to say it. But Jared says #Ask Carter. With Howard leaving, are they less likely to play 2 quarterbacks because of the backup situation? I say,
yeah, I think so.
You do?
Yeah, I think that makes them like.
I think it makes them more dangerous. See, I'm on the opposite side.
Okay, so you would be more willing. You wouldn't shy away from playing two quarterbacks.
No, because here's the thing. Okay, if one of the guys gets hurt, then you're back. I mean, really and truthfully, if one of the guys gets hurt, by natural process, one of them takes over. Okay, now, it's kind of like, I don't know, Carter. I'm okay with you doing it regardless. I mean, you still have Ricky Collins. Ricky Collins enrolled at LSU today. He's there. He's got an entire spring. Now, is he Walker Howard? Can he get there? I don't believe that he can. I don't think he can get where Walker Howard is right now, or where
absolutely.
Walker Howard was in August. I don't think he can progress that quickly to get there at that point. I would be really shocked if he could. But I think you got to go for broke. I am so tired. Let me tell you something what I'm tired of, Carter. I am so blithering tired for people saying, oh, what if he gets hurt? Play to win the fucking game.
I like it.
Huh?
You give me a good Herm Edwards, baby.
You play to win the game. Like, my coochie card hurts. Oh, well, like you got to go out there and slang that hoe.
Right. And look, I the more I think about it, the more I am actually going to agree with you. You play to win the game, right? So it is a good question from Jared.
Clody.
But
Clody.
Pooh,
am I saying that right? Clody.
But no, Rick's a beast. Jared's one of my closest buds. And yeah, I would say, I would say if you feel like playing both of them is better for your offense, just play both of them, right? And look, to win a national championship, you need injury luck, right?
LSU got it this year. Let's call it what it is. I mean, they really outside of Mason in the first series, LSU was pretty lucky injury-wise. They might miss a guy here or there, but Carter, they were pretty good.
Yeah. They had it this year. And, those are the questions you ask. Will we have it next year? I hope so, because, I mean, obviously the roster is going to be really good, and we'll see if they do. And I think, something else, Blake, is I was looking throughout the SEC, Georgia's guys are entering the portal. I think we're seeing more and more guys that are solid are starting to decide maybe I should go somewhere else. If you knew how many times I even forgot this young man's name, but man, I've been texted so many times about this Louisville linebacker today. What's his name? Number 7. I hope you're going to get.
Well, here's the thing. You ever notice how so many players in the portal are so goddamn good when they hit the portal because it's a position that you need?
Yes. if it's a position,
people DM me, Carter, saying, Blake, this guy's really good. And I go up and look up the stats real quick. He's like 7 tackles. He's been there since 1907. He was there when electricity was invented. And this guy has 7 tackles. Like, bro, what am I supposed to take of that? It's, Blake is a position of need. I'm like, okay, well, I mean.
This is my favorite thing on the planet is the Oregon.
Aaron Miller says his last name's Montgomery.
Okay, so I've seen Louisville play a few times this year, and I did see him a few times, and he was good, and so he was like a better linebacker. He was the MVP of the Fenway Bowl, or the bowl at Fenway Park. Okay. What I will say though is my favorite thing of all time is the tight end playing his 8th year of eligibility, transferring from Oregon to Miami. 8 United States years of eligibility. I love it, and I hate it all at the same time. 8 years of eligibility. What's up with that?
I don't know. I'm looking it up. Yeah, I think it is Montgomery.
Is it Montgomery?
Whatever the guy's last name is.
I hope you pick LSU, because look, like we said last week, off-ball linebacker is a huge hole on this team right now. I will say, Whit Weeks getting on campus could low-key be a true freshman long shot of getting to play a whole lot next year. The younger brother of Wes Weeks, and I do think he's a pretty solid player.
And look, they got speed there now. The Weeks boys can run.
Yeah.
You know, like how the Ruffino boys back in the 1900s could do moonshine and what's the prohibition? They could, definitely run the Weeks boys. We'll see. Thank you, Rick Clody, for the $20 super chat. Carl, let me ask you this. One more thing on quarterbacks, and let me ask you this about Walker Howard. I want to kick some things around the college football with you. Walker Howard, if Walker Howard picks Ole Miss, your thoughts?
It wouldn't shock me because, number one, Walker Howard is an Ole Miss sounding name. That kind of makes sense, right? Joking. But
the hair definitely makes him look like he should be at Alabama.
Does he not look like an Ole Miss?
Excuse me.
Yeah. It would make sense because he did take recruiting visits. For those that don't know, he did take recruiting visits to Ole Miss when he was committed to LSU. So there was interest with both parties and the Rebels.
Hey, hold on 1 second, Carter. Hey, guys, do we have some breaking news here with Sean Payton to the Texans? I mean, is that –
No, that –
Carter, I think Sean Payton might be going to the Texans. Oh, no, they're not. We have completed an interview with Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I legit, my heart just sank.
Mine did too, because Zach put it in there, and then the first thing I saw on Twitter was "get to meet our coach," and I read it as coach. It said "get to meet our candidate," and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Okay. Yeah, dude, that wasn't cool. Like that, that's a seismic story.
Yeah, damn you, Zach.
Yeah, so you want to know what's funny is
I think Pooh Bear might have written that and just blamed it on Zach.
Yeah, just an interview tweet.
Oh man.
So I was in Dallas this past weekend. That's why my voice sounds probably a little hoarse. The bachelor's party. Went to a card show, so one of the biggest card shows in the country, and I almost bought a very rare Sean Payton card. He doesn't have like hardly any, and I was this close to buying it. This close. And if he goes to the Texans, it's going to obviously skyrocket his value wherever he actually decides to go. So I'm in contact with the guy selling. He wants too much for it. So Blake, I've got to know, where is Sean Payton going to go? I know you do more Saints stuff than me. Like
I don't think he's decided either way. I don't think anybody knows.
I know where he's going. I'll tell you.
Chargers.
No.
Yeah, they're not firing Staley.
Cardinals. I think that's where he's going to go.
That'd be a dumb decision. Why? Because they'd have to trade a first-round pick, and they're trying to trade their best receiver. Don't do it. All right, back to Walker Howard.
Okay.
Let me say this. I do not like him being there. Thank you, Jared, for the super chat. I don't like him being there. Okay, like I think. Look, I would rather him out of the SEC. That's just my opinion. I think Lane's a good, can really scheme things up. Now, do they have the O-line, the position groups, the wide receivers, running backs? Do they have all of it to beat a team like LSU? I don't know that. But Lane has made some moves this offseason now, and he went and got Pete Golding. And I said this this morning, Carter, on my show, on our Ruffino and Joe show. Pete Golding has never had a defense outside of the top 20 ever.
No, he's good. No, Pete's
ever.
Good.
Like, it doesn't matter where he's been ever.
Right.
That is insane.
I will say this, Blake, and I've slept on it. And I don't think it's good for LSU if Walker Howard lights it up in the SEC. If he goes and lights it up at TCU,
everybody be like, it's a weak ass conference and all this.
Yeah, exactly. And LSU fans wouldn't mind it as much because it would make sense because Jack Besh is there. So a lot of people would understand, like, hey, it makes sense. You want to play with your friend. Y'all played together in high school. If he just walks up, goes to Ole Miss or goes to Florida, which I think would be a very interesting destination for him, considering they don't have a quarterback right now. Or at least they don't.
Well, they got the Mertz kid, but that's it.
That's it.
But you're right.
That's somebody he could feel he beats out. Graham Mertz is not good. Jackson Dart and Walker Howard are about, they're actually very similar quarterbacks. But if he were to go to a school that LSU plays every year and lights it up, I do think that would obviously anger a lot of people. And Blake, as you know, you have a lot of viewers in Lafayette. I have a lot of viewers in Lafayette. There's people very angry about this situation.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I mean,
I have never, since 2017, I have never had as many people and as many boosters reach out to me than this.
Yeah.
Ever. There's not one thing. There's not, look, the Title IX incidents, the Sharon Lewis, the Darius Geis, the firing of Ed Orgeron, the kids running around on practice facilities, Palmineri's neck, Paul's. I've never had anything Will Wade. Nothing has gone on at LSU that has made boosters more pissed off. And you know this because, I've shown you some of it, whatever. There has not been more outcry behind this. It is number one.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And there's a lot of people very angry about it because it was so short and it was abrupt. And there was also a lot of Jack Besh fans, and he's also gone. And
the two favorite sons is what they all call them.
Right.
Why they call them that, but it is what it is.
And here's the truth, okay? If I lived in Lafayette and I went to a bunch of St. Thomas More games, I would also be frustrated that you never actually got to see this connection at LSU, right? So I get it. I do get it. But the truth is, Blake, you just don't know, right? And quarterbacking in the SEC and just college football quarterbacking in general, you never really know what's going to happen with anyone. You don't know if anyone is actually going to pan out. But if you are an LSU fan, this is out of pretty much any transfer LSU has ever dealt with. This is a one you really want to happen to go outside the SEC, and hopefully it does end up being that way.
American Patriot, who is a big Walker Howard guy, says what Walker had is that JD and Nuss doesn't have is football IQ. Well, and then he says that the kid was great IQ and decision making. But how do you know that? You've never seen him play.
You don't at the college level.
You don't know that yet. So no one can make that determination.
Right.
And if you're making that determination based off practices, well, I promise you, I went to all of them during the fall. There was no decision making. The only decision that he made with the first team that any media got to solve or see was him throw it into triple coverage and Jay Ward picked it. That's it. Now, in his defense, he was told to throw it, okay, and throw it to that specific situation, and everybody knew it because it was a look. He was on the scout team, whatever. That's in and of itself, okay? But we'll see. Carter, to finish this out with you, two big moves also were made. Ohio State made a new offensive coordinator hire, and they promoted Brian Hartline. Yeah, I still think Ryan Day is going to have a lot to do with that. Great recruiter. Does he really call plays? We'll see. I'm going to tell you the biggest move of the offseason. It's not close. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Garrett Riley to Clemson. You want me to tell you why it's the biggest? It's not because he's the best OC. It's because nobody thought Dabo would actually do it.
Right. And it was a good move.
And it was a really good move.
Yeah. And I'm a Lincoln Riley
apologist.
Yeah. And I look, you know how much I wanted Lincoln. I'm super happy with Brian Kelly. I do think Brian's a better fit than Lincoln. I'm not just saying that because what happened, just how things played itself out. But I think Garrett did a really good job with TCU this year, really scheming things open. And I'm going to be honest with you, Blake. I do like that fit for him. I do like how he could potentially use Cade Klubnik, like obviously Max Duggan. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. And obviously it's good for the ACC as well to get a play caller of this caliber who was a Bowles Award finalist. So really excited to see what's going to happen with the Clemson Tigers, baby.
Oh, interception goes Tampa's way. I agree. I just think Carter. Look, this is what I've said, and this goes to Brian Kelly as well because Brian Kelly's done this multiple times, and he hasn't had to do that at LSU yet, but he will ultimately. Really good coaches make really good decisions. Elite coaches make game change or literal season changing moves. Okay. Dabo just made one. Okay.
Yeah.
Klubnik did get beat up a little bit. Okay. In that bowl game. That's okay. That's fine. It's going to happen. Trevor Lawrence went below 50% against LSU in a national championship game. He just won his first playoff game. That doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot if you have a bad game in a big situation.
Right. I
just think it's a really big addition for them. Now, the only thing for them is can they go get weapons on the outside? I think Dabo's going to have to, swallow his I love Jesus pride for just a minute. Jesus, take the wheel, WWJD, forget the bracelets for just a minute. And he's going to have to go to the portal. Yeah, he's going to admit that he doesn't want to and he hates it. But the bottom line is for Clemson to get back what we saw Tennessee do, lock them up man-to-man. We'll see. Last one for me around the SEC and something to keep our eyes on. What do you think about Joe Milton?
Well, he probably throws harder than any quarterback I've ever seen.
Is he the great value Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah, and obviously a little bit faster. But guy, he
a little bit leaner. You see what I did there?
Oh,
leaner.
It's a
purple lean.
I'm an unapologetically big time Jamarcus Russell fan, and I love that joke. Like that's just good punnage right there. But yeah, I think Joe Milton could run that offense because that offense is very quarterback friendly. I really do think so. And, as long as you throw the football quickly, you have a chance with the way Tennessee does it. And because Tennessee reps it so much, they'll obviously be able to score points. What's going to be interesting, though, Blake, is we saw how Tennessee looked this year without Cedric Tillman. Jalen Hyatt rose to the occasion. They also had Brew McCoy and Keaton and all those guys. But now that Hyatt and Tillman are gone, is this going to be like at LSU where you have good receivers every year? You're never really worried about that position. Or were those guys just so transcendently good and they took Tennessee to the next level? I actually think it's more the former than the latter. Keaton was a good player for them. Fant was a good tight end for them. Brew McCoy was a solid player for them. But do they have the ceiling of those other guys? We'll see what happens.
Way too early top 10. Who are your non-negotiables?
Well, Ohio State, with Marvin
Harrison.
Michigan
in there?
Yeah, because they have McCarthy coming back and Harbaugh's coming back.
Ohio State, Michigan, would you put LSU in there?
Non-negotiables? LSU is firmly in the top 10. I think, when you see them around that 6 to 7 mark, you feel pretty good about where you are.
6. You know what happened the last 3 times LSU started off the season number 6?
What, unranked?
No. Started at number 6. They in the Superdome.
And I'm just going to point this out. You know who was number 6 going into this year, right?
Georgia.
No, it's Texas A&M. It can go either way. If
you want to hear a weird stat? You want to hear a weird stat? You want to hear a really weird stat?
I love the AYS analytics crew.
All right, hold on. Let me pull this up. I gotta pull this up because this is the this is the wildest thing I think I've ever done. It took me a day and a half to complete it. Let me go down and find this for you. I don't know if you saw this, but baby. This is the craziest statistic that I think that I'd come up with maybe ever. Okay, hold on. All right, since Texas A&M entered the league in 2012, okay, these are the teams in the SEC that have better records than they do. Now, Texas is 78-60 since 2012. SEC teams with better records: Bama, Georgia, LSU. Get the 4th team in here. It's Texas A&M. They have gone 90-48 since entering the SEC since 2012. They've been better than Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Ole Miss. The SEC getting Texas, forget the money for just a minute. From a wins-loss perspective, it's like getting Ole Miss more than it's getting Texas A&M. Carter, at some point, wins and losses have to matter. So when you talk about A&M, as much as we rag on them, and they deserve it, they've been the fourth best team in the SEC.
But have they?
When you go 10 years,
okay,
that is a very large sample size.
Okay, you're going to get a strong disagreement from me here.
Okay.
So I do agree that Texas isn't that great. I totally agree with you. However, A&M every year has to play South Carolina, and Auburn every year has to play Georgia as a cross-division rival, correct?
True.
So that in and of itself is what A&M is, I think, 7-1 playing South Carolina.
You're taking that out at Auburn versus A&M having to have crossovers against Georgia and Florida. They've done that before now.
Yeah, but Auburn's got to play them every year. When you got to play Georgia every year, it's different. So when you look at those records, I do agree. A&M's not probably been as bad.
I will give you Auburn. If Auburn's the end all be all, Carter, at the bare minimum, it's a push between Auburn and A&M.
Yeah, so I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and.
But your main point about Texas not being great is so perplexing to me because I think people forget like how good of a player Vince Young was. People forget how good of a coach prime Mac Brown was, and all those Texas teams. Carter,
look at that, dude.
It's shocking. It's really, really shocking. And to your point, Ole Miss plays Vanderbilt every year. So Ole Miss having that record, they have one of the easier SEC West schedules. And Texas recruits way better than Ole Miss. So, yeah, it is kind of crazy now that you actually typed this out, that Texas and Ole Miss's record is the exact same since 2012. And they've had all these different types of head coaches, and none of them have worked. My question for, Texas believers out there is, you think Charlie Strong and Tom Herman just forgot to coach? They were wildly successful.
This is, and Carter, I said this morning too, this is a Texas problem.
Yeah, big time.
So when I come on air and you go on air and we say it don't give two Rudy poops about who's a blue blood and who's not, Texas is a blue blood, buddy, and they suck. You suck. But I will say this. It is very interesting. Now, does Jimbo screw it up? Does Jimbo kick the can down the road and they have another horrible season? Maybe. Okay. But in 10 years, they've won 90 games.
And one more thing. Matthew McConaughey, the biggest Texas fan of all time, right, came to Baton Rouge to study how to be a coach for the movie We Are Marshall. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he visited an LSU game. I saw him at the game. It was crazy. We're the only ones wearing orange shirts. He was wearing I think he was wearing like a Texas. It was so long ago, but he was on the side. I was wearing an orange shirt, being a neutral media member. And that was so cool. So he came and actually, I think Cody Worsham wrote a good story on it many years ago. He hung out with Dale Brown for the whole weekend, and Dale Brown gave him a bunch of tips, even though he's a basketball and it was a football movie, whatever. So yeah, even McConaughey visited Baton Rouge. But yeah, I just don't think Texas is ever going to get it
They're
done.
not coming in the SEC running shit like they think that they are.
They aren't. And I turned out to be right about Quinn Ewers being totally mid. Quinn Ewers is mid, to use the millennial phrase. He's mid.
Oh, your old lady. She a Dallas fan?
She's a huge.
That's
That's why I put money on the Cowboys tonight, because I just want to be on her same team tonight.
I hear you. You gotta love it. All right, Carter the Power Bryant. Thank you, buddy. We'll see you next week.
If you need a ride, let me know.
too soon.
I don't have a car, so I shouldn't.
Way too soon. Way too soon. Brand new truck. Way too soon.
All right, bub. Cheers.
All right, it's Carter Bryant. Let's end it here, guys. Let's go watch a playoff game. Till then, we'll see y'all soon. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.